Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm your host, Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about how to start a podcast. So in the past episodes, we talked about why we started one and how to promote one, but we figured it would also be easy to tell you a little bit about how you can get one going. Podcasts are becoming more and more popular. They're showing up in cars as well. People are listening to them when they're working out or driving to work. Whatever it is exactly, we're going to get you at least going on podcasting so you can be successful with it. So first things first, I do recommend, there are a couple of epic guides out there. I don't think this one podcast episode is going to solve the problem on its own. So I do recommend looking for Pat Flynn's guide on how to start a podcast. He has a lot of videos there. Frankly, he should probably be charging for that. So that one's a pretty in-depth article. There's probably over 6 videos and you're going to invest a couple hours in terms of learning the ropes there. And then John Lee Dumas also has a little blog post on how you can get one going. And he also has a whole podcast series dedicated to helping you start a podcast. So if I were starting out, those are 2 areas I would go with first. But for us, I guess I'll get it kickstarted with the hosting that we use for our podcast episodes. So we use Libsyn. That's Libsyn. And Libsyn helps us track the stats, where the traffic is coming from for the podcast. And we can also run advertising on our podcast too. And I host my other podcasts on the same platform too. So Libsyn makes things easy. Their support is very easy too, and they'll allow you to publish to different channels such as Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, iHeartRadio at the same time. So it just makes our lives a lot easier. And, for us, it's just about podcasting and then having our team kind of handle the rest. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But Neil, what are your other thoughts?
When most people start a podcast, they link out to iTunes, they link out to Android, so that way people can just listen directly on their devices and subscribe. We did that when we started. I noticed one huge issue with doing that. The biggest one was every time I promoted the podcast through email blast, people would email me back saying, I don't have iTunes or I don't use an Android device. How can I just listen online? So when you're starting a podcast, make sure you create a website that has a player online that someone can just click play from either their phone, their desktop, their laptop, their tablet, and they can start listening right away. Pat from Smart Passive Income, he has a plugin that makes it really easy, so you can set up a page on a WordPress blog and then just feed in all of your podcast episodes, and you can play them really easy. Eric, what's the name of the plugin?
Smart Passive Podcast Player, I think.
Cool, perfect. So make sure you guys use that. It's the best one that I've seen. We've checked out a lot of them. Almost all of them suck. Even with Pat's, it's not bad. It's actually probably the best one, but I'm right now having my dev make custom adjustments to it, especially on the design end, so that way it blends in with my theme. But create a website, or you can just create a tab within your WordPress blog if you already have one. So then that way all your current visitors can listen to podcast episodes.
And when you're starting out, obviously you probably want to figure out the process for yourself in terms of, the show notes, how do you want that to look, and also the entire journey versus starting out and recording and all the way to the end where you're publishing. So you want to figure out that process, and once you have it down, record it into a screencast, and then you can bring on other people to help. But one big thing that a lot of people miss out on is really trying to get on the new and noteworthy section for iTunes. And I'm not sure if they have one for Google Play or Stitcher, but I'm referring specifically to iTunes here, where new and noteworthy, your podcast will show up. It'll give you a good initial bump in the first couple of weeks. Sometimes you might show up a few months later. You do need to have some momentum coming into it where, you have at least 5 episodes when you're launching. That way people can, move on to the next one. And other thing is you want to make sure that you're very consistent with it too, right? Because if you're inconsistent, just like with blogging, you're going to find it hard to have the compounding effects of seeing your content just build on top of each other. Long story short, make sure that you launch with 5 episodes to try to get onto the new and noteworthy, and then, document your process. Neil?
Within your podcast title, have the right keywords. So just like you do keyword research through SEO using things like Ahrefs, Google Keyword Planner, etc., keywordtool.io, include keywords within the titles of each episode, and good ones, right? Make sure that your titles are also attractive so that way people are going to want to click through and listen. By doing this, when people are searching around the web or on iTunes or whatever it may be, they'll be more likely to find one or some of your episodes. So that's huge. Other thing to do is when you're starting off in podcasting, it's all about listens, reviews. The better reviews you have, the higher you're going to end up climbing because more people are going to want to listen to your show. The more views you have, the higher up you're going to climb in the rankings. And then again, it can get you new and newsworthy, as well as get you discovered when people are browsing in different categories. One thing that we do, which is really huge, is having an intro and the outro. And in our outro, it tells you to rate and review our podcast, right? And we continually do this, and we keep hammering in that message so that way we can get more reviews and climb up in the iTunes charts.
I want to go into the process a little more. So what we do, literally, we've got it down where Neil and I, we will hop in and we'll batch a lot of the episodes that we do. So I guess we can even talk about batching too. So, because it's both Neil and myself, he has a busy schedule, I have a schedule, and it's hard for us to coordinate. So what we do is when we have time to record, we'll batch all of these episodes. So right now what we're doing is we're trying to do 10 episodes in one day. Yesterday we did 6. The day before that we did 10. So we're trying to get them all together because it's hard to do one every day because Neil might be traveling, I might be gone. So just keep in mind, if you're trying to do like a daily episode, John Lee Dumas, he batches all of his into Tuesdays and he does like 7 episodes. So it's all about the process. And what's really important too, you have to make it easy where like literally what I'm doing right now, we're taking all these episodes and we're putting them into a Dropbox folder. And then after that, our editors will go in, they will edit the audio files because sometimes Neil and I will screw up, and then they'll edit those points out, they'll add the intro and the outro, they'll also listen to it, they'll write the show notes out, and then it'll become published. And it saves us a lot of time because, we can just literally record, put in the Dropbox, and then just get on with our day. Literally, I think a couple weeks ago, Neil was in LA, and I just went to his hotel, we recorded a few episodes, and then I just had to go back to, get on with my day. So you just have to make it boom, boom, very fast. And there's a few different resources you can use. So we talked about Dropbox. Podcast Motor is what we use for doing show notes, and I believe that's about $500 a month. So, if the math works out for you, definitely, use it because, you definitely want to leverage, other people that can help you there. And then I also have my managing editor. She helps with kind of proofreading everything and then publishing it to our site. This is on neilpatel.com, I think, /podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. /podcast.
Yep. And then we also have it on marketingschool.io. So we have like 2 sites that we publish it to right now. As you develop this process, figure out like what points can you leverage other people and can you take things off your plate so you can preserve your own time.
And lastly, one thing that you really need to do is create a cover image for your podcast. A lot of people have ugly cover images. When someone's browsing and they see an ugly image, you think they're going to stick around? No, just like on Facebook or Instagram, when you see an ugly image or image that you don't like, you think you're going to pay attention to it? No, you don't, right? People judge based off visuals. The podcast image is roughly 3,000 by 3,000 pixels, dimension size. So make sure that's the biggest resolution that you can use. I think the minimum is 1,400 by 1,400. I was just looking it up the other day. So make sure you design something that has the title of your podcast in there, has an image of either you or what the show is about, and is appealing. So that way when someone's browsing a gallery and they see a ton of podcast images, ideally yours should be standing out.
Great. And yeah, I mean, for us, this podcast, we're going into our second full month right here, and it's been really rewarding. It's growing really quickly. We look at the engagement that we've been getting on Twitter and other social channels. People have been emailing us too. It's been great. Our initial goal with this is, to just build a great audience of fanatic marketers. There's no end goal specifically yet, but I mean, just building that audience is really the hardest point. So just think about what your goals are. For us, it's hard to find a really good community of marketers, especially in the podcasting world. So that's what we're building right now. But let us know what you think. If you have other topic ideas, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll see you in tomorrow's episode of Marketing School.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.